Good afternoon. I just want to say it's an honor and a pleasure to be here to talk about my Uncle Fitz. Betsy, thank you for the wonderful tribute that you wrote, because it kind of gave me an outline, so you'll probably hear some of these things again from the family, but my earliest memories of my Uncle Fitz were on the south side of Connellsville, and I remember coming bounding into the house, and Aunt Pat would be in the kitchen, and I would always ask, where's Uncle Fitz? Where's Uncle Fitz? And, finally I learned that I didn't have to do that anymore because he was always in the garage. So I didn't have to go through the kitchen anymore. I just went straight to the garage, and certainly when we talk about his love of cars, yes, that's where Uncle Fitz, you could usually find him in the garage working on one of the cars. In fact, I later, this is about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or so, I met a gentleman, and he and I were talking, and he was an older gentleman, and he mentioned that he was from Fayette City, and I said, oh, my uncle Fitz was from Fayette City. I just said my uncle was from Fayette City, and he said, well, what's his name? Clyde Fitzpatrick. Oh, Clyde, we were best friends in high school. And we loved one thing, and we happened to be talking about cars, and he said the one thing that they used to love to do when Clyde was in high school was go cruising. They loved to go cruising. Yes, he did love cars, so much so I thought growing up that Dirk Henry was a member of the family. Here I find out later that he was someone who was good friends with Uncle Fitz, and they worked on cars and sold cars and went and picked up cars and so on and so forth. We talked about his love of music, and I know his love of music was broad, and it included anything that Denny was playing. Started out as loud rock and roll in the garage, the country and the jazz, and of course Irish music. But something you may not know about Uncle Fitz, my Uncle Fitz was, he loved marching bands. And Friday nights when we were little kids, in the south side of Connellsville, he would take us down to the end of the street and stand up on the hill above Falcon Stadium, and he knew exactly when halftime was, because that's when the Falcon marching band would come onto the field, and he wanted to hear the marching band. Christy had the best view, because we were all too small to actually see them, but Christy got up on her dad's shoulders, and she could actually see the band playing. He thought it would be sacrilegious to leave your seat at a halftime of a football game, because you would be missing the marching band. Later on, when I attended football games, of course we'd talk about the football games, but he'd also ask me, how's the marching band? It was great, Uncle Fitz. I didn't always stay in my seat at halftime. Betsy talked about carrying on her love of her dad's love of sports, and I don't ever remember a time getting together with my Uncle Fitz and we didn't discuss sports. I mean, I just never ever remember a time we didn't discuss something. In fact, the last time we were together on Christmas Day, we sat there and we talked about sports and this Pittsburgh sports teams and who was playing, what was going on, and that must have had an influence on my life, his love of sports. As I played sports, I recreated sports, I had season tickets to sports, I spectated sports, I watched sports, I owned my own sports facility, and now I'm a professor and director of sport management. So Uncle Fitz definitely had an influence on my life and my love of sports. One person remarked on Facebook after his passing that they said, I'll never forget his flashing smile. And I thought, man, that is just the perfect description of his smile. It was a flashing smile, and offspring, they all have that flashing smile as well. And I'll tell you a couple of stories just real quick. I know we're on trying to get through this here, but a couple stories about his flashing smile. One back in when we were watching Steeler games in Connellsville at the old trailer, Betsy and I were Clyde's antenna for the television. And we had a black and white television. Of course, back in those days, Kara Cassidy, there was no cable, nothing like that. We had to put an antenna on top of the TV, and we had to just put some aluminum foil on it, and Clyde would direct us. Well, just touch the metal a little bit right down, and hold it there, don't move. And Betsy and I would be in one of these positions, but the picture was in, and we could see the game, so that was good. But I'll never forget Claude, the day Claude was able to get a color TV, and all of a sudden things in our TV world began to change. Not only did we get a better picture, but it was in color. And I remember watching the Steelers' first Super Bowl victory on a black and white television, and the second Super Bowl we watched it on a color television. And they played the Dallas Cowboys, and I remember all of us standing around the TV, Betsy and I, and Uncle Fitz, turning the TV on. We saw the Miami Sun and the Steelers in those black and gold uniforms, and it was a clear picture. And Betsy and I kind of cautiously looked at Uncle Fitz, and he had that flashing smile going like I'd never seen before. He was going to get to watch his Steelers in color, and I don't think we only had to move the antenna a few times that day. So that was one time when I remember his flashing smile. I, in 6th grade, made the 6th grade basketball team, and my mom had dropped me off for a basketball tournament, and it was going to be our first game that we played in front of a crowd, and I didn't think much of it, and I don't know what happened, if she had to work that day or whatever, but somebody was going to come and pick me up, and I was too excited. So, and the game started, and there was a lot of people there, and I was a little bit nervous. Now they were playing in front of the crowd and everything, and the other team got out in front of a lead in front of us, and I was kind of a little bit frazzled, and I'm dribbling the ball down the court, and I look up into the stands, and there is Uncle Fitz with this flashing smile on his face. And from that point on, everything went just great in the game. I don't think I missed a shot after that. We never did win the game, but it meant so much to me for him to be there that day with that flashing smile. And he was the one who came and picked me up and made sure I got where I needed to go. Of course, his flashing smile always came through when he was talking about his family. It always came through, except for one picture over there. I don't know what was going on there, but if you look at all those pictures, he's got a flashing smile going. He wasn't afraid to get his picture taken. That was not one of his fears. And then I saw his flashing smile every time he spent time with his granddaughters. Friendship. If Uncle Fitz asked you how you were doing, he generally meant, how are you doing? You know, it wasn't the answer, well, you know, things are going okay. No, he really wanted to know how you were doing, what's going on with the business or school or whatever it might be. He was really genuinely concerned when he asked anybody that question. It was mentioned that he never met anyone who was not a friend. And one time I was going through a very difficult time in my life, and I was staying over at the Fitzpatrick's, and Uncle Fitz said, let's go and get some ice cream. And so we went and we had some ice cream, and we both got ours, and he started talking to someone there at the ice cream place, and I sat down and waited for him, and finally after 5 or 10 minutes he came over, and I said, who was that you were talking to? And he said, oh, that's so-and-so from somewhere, and he works over here, and his family lives here. And I said, oh, yeah. Well, I said, when did you meet him? He said, oh, I just met him. You just met him. You know the guy's life already. It was like he was an old friend. It's hard to just try and say everything you want to say for somebody that you knew for 50 years. There's not much we didn't do together. Overnight, weekend, weeknights, sometimes week-long visits. I was always welcome in his house. And he never ever treated me any different than anyone, like I was just his son. And gosh, we watched sports, Steelers, Pirates, Penguins. We attended ball games and concerts and family reunions and funerals and weddings, and we went to church together. We went to high school plays and horse races and other events and holiday and Sunday and family gatherings, and we got together not only for just a celebration, we just got together because we got together, and so very thankful for all of that. In 1972, I lost my father, and Uncle Fitz lost a best friend, and thankfully, I got another father, and he got another son. And many of his words, I know this is supposed to be joyful, so these are tears of joy, but many of his words I can recall. I'll just share a few that will always stick by me. On the day of my mom's funeral, he remarked to me that my mom was the most kind-hearted and generous woman that he had ever met, and he meant it. And I remember his Sunday prayers. He always prayed for those who were cold, hot, homeless, hungry, less fortunate. And I now find myself often praying the same thing. My prayers are mirroring becoming my Uncle Fitz. My prayers are. A couple of other of his sayings that will stick with me. Pat, that was one of the finest meals you've ever made. I heard that more than once, believe me. And then he always would say at the dinner table, Kev, can you pass me the horseradish? Well, after a while, we finally decided that we would put the horseradish right next to Uncle Fitz. And then he would just simply say, Kev, do you want some horseradish? That was my Uncle Fitz. I just thank you, Uncle Fitz, for all of your love and support and encouragement and guidance and wisdom. And can't say enough, but he was always there for me. And God bless you, Fitz.
Thanks, Kev.